The key for the Patriots to win is their O-line protecting Drake May. We've talked about it, 15 sacks in the postseason, 11 against four-man rush. They got to fix the techniques of fundamentals. Josh McDaniels has done a really good job of putting him in the right protections. They have not executed well. Will this be the game they turn this thing around to get explosive plays down the field with protection?
Otherwise, it could be a long night for Drake May. Harry, what are you fired up to see in the Super Bowl?
Can the New England Patriots in their defense sustain third down and red zone success? So far in their first three playoff games, they've held their opponents on third down to 12 for 41. That's 29%. In the red zone, 2 for 8. That's 25%. But guess what? The Seattle Seahawks, they aren't missing key components on their offense. Can they sustain what they've done in the first three games?
Really good look as we continue all morning long. Bart, what are you fired up to see in the Super Bowl?
I'm all fired up about the butterfly effect. Who's going to have a different trajectory? You talk about, maybe Drake May doing only what maybe Brady, Russell, and Roethlisberger did in the second year, winning a championship. But then you're going to have Sam Darnold saying, Lamar, Allen, Baker, hold my beer, Seattle, show me the money. Tear that contract up.
The first of that class to win a Super Bowl ring. And then, Joe, give us one you were fired up to see on Sunday.
Patriots fall behind early in this game, and it's lights out. Seattle, number one in the NFL in first quarter scoring, number one in the NFL in first quarter point differential. However, not perfect. In their only three losses this year, they got taken in the first quarter. The Niners got them in week one, Tampa Bay got them, and the Rams got them. That's the key to Seattle. Put Sam Darnold in a disadvantageous position because if the Patriots fall behind early, that Seattle defense is going to tee off.
Okay, so let's pick it up there. And I was listening to a lot of the stuff that you've had as you're appearing basically on every show on the network these days, talking about the Patriots. And I've done, as we all have, I assume, a bunch of radio shows this week. And I feel like there's sort of a conventional wisdom that is developing. Jeff, I'm looking right at you. That the New England Patriots, and this is not, they don't make their own schedule.
Yeah.
But the reality is the way things have broken for them has been extremely advantageous. This is a significant step up in class. The Seahawks are a better team and will win this handily. I'm not saying it. I'm saying I feel like that is a conventional wisdom that I am hearing. What do you think of it?
Yeah, I disagree with that. And not the point of there definitely have been advantages because of players being injured or not being there, whatever it was from teams that they played. But at the end of the day, Mike Vrabel, Josh McDaniels, this staff, I think they do a great job with their players, and they make it sticky. Like, we can say all you want. You still got to beat the ones on your schedule. And we can minimize how good teams are. This is the NFL. You ain't out recruiting people, y'all. Like, you got to go play. So give credit where credit is due. They've won the ones they had to. And by the way, the second half of the Denver game in a blizzard, like, so some of these numbers are a little bit skewed to me. And you play. Every game is like a style, and sometimes you got to play a little different style. If you don't need to push? Why risk it when you don't need to? So I think a little bit of this is overblown. I do understand what Joe said. If they get behind because of how good their front is, it could get ugly. I don't think they're going to get behind.
What do you think, Bart?
Well, when you talk about, and what Jeff would be the only one on this panel right now that has the experience. I'm sure you won a Super Bowl, you lost a Super Bowl, and not always, the best team doesn't always win.
That's exactly right.
And you just have to be the best team that day. And when feelings and emotions and pressure builds up, it can be crazy. But Seattle has more paths to win than I would say New England. New England's pretty much played a JV type of schedule. But when you play tough opponents and you go through that grit, it prepares you for these type of moments. I'm excited to see, does the coaching experience of Vrabel and McDaniel, outweigh Kupp and Ernest Jones, who has that experience from on the field.
Yeah.
What do you think, Harry?
Well, I love what Bart just said, the coaching experience when you look at New England. Mike Vrabel won 3 Super Bowls as a player. Josh McDaniels, who's the offensive coordinator, he's won 6 Super Bowls with the New England Patriots.
Gracious.
So if you get down early in the ball game, the most important thing is to not hit that panic button, right? Still run your offense. Don't go in panic mode. Don't feel like you have to get it all back with one play or on one drive. You continue to chip away at the lead if Seattle does go up. And I believe the experience of those two guys on defense, there's a reason why you bring guys over who's had success. Milton Williams won a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
Carlton Davis won a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think all those things combined, if they get down, they're not going to falter, and they're going to still keep their composure.
All right, so then let me come to you over here, because I've been hearing a lot of the stuff that you have been saying. And the number,
that. Yeah, well, Buck Nasty, the world's biggest hater. I thought I was the world's biggest hater.
I'm not dumb. I pay attention to what people who know what they're talking about say, and you're the person who knows what they're talking about. And the reality is, the numbers skew in Seattle's favor.
You don't want to control the controllables. You don't want to duck the team because they can't control the schedule, but you have to evaluate the schedule if you're going to evaluate how the game is going to play out. 20 games this season. Only 6 came against teams with a winning record. And the quarterback in those games struggled. 8 turnovers, 27 sacks. Orlovsky was talking about this the other day. No quarterback has ever entered the Super Bowl having been sacked this many times in the postseason. 15. Yeah. All right? He's only completing 55% of his passes. Now, you played from in front against the Chargers. You were at home. They had a bad O-line. You played from in front against Houston because C.J. Stroud had one of the worst playoff games in history. And then the game against Denver, Peyton doesn't want to kick the field goal early. And then you take a 1-score game and you prevent it from getting the 2 scores. They've taken advantage of all their opportunities. Yeah. I don't think Seattle gives them those opportunities that the other teams have.
All right, so that's just a taste of what we have coming your way on Super Bowl all morning long. Again, it's our full-scale Football Friday, but there was a
seemingly never goes away. We did a show months ago as to, or not an entire show, we did part of a show months ago as to how do you ever shed labels? If you're labeled as something in sports, what's the best way of going about shedding it? Can you? Was there a player in sports that was believed to be one thing that ultimately was the other? And that's kind of still what Sam Darnold goes to. And I believe that during the course of this show today, we have all mentioned the ghost narrative when he sat there on the sidelines for the Jets years ago, Monday Night Football on ESPN. Microphones caught him on the live mic saying, I'm seeing ghosts against the Patriots. And we all have sat here and said, is there a chance the ghosts are still in there? Right? We've played that out today. Is it officially over if he wins on Sunday? / those who say that, and I have been critical, I don't want to take the victory lap, CC, but is there an I told you so if he throws 2 to 3 picks?
I mean, I don't know that there would be an I told you so. I think the problem with Sam Darnold is a lot of people have a hard time finding a comparable when it comes to his career arc. You're talking about somebody that was a top 5 pick that is on his 5th team in 8 seasons. And typically quarterbacks that have, that have been as well-traveled as Sam has been don't result in your team being able to win championships. So this is a departure from the norm. You typically don't see quarterbacks take this pathway to get to their first Super Bowl. So I think that's the part that people struggle with. And if you don't have a comparable in terms of somebody that eventually, became a franchise quarterback, so to speak, then you're going to have trouble thinking that Sam Darnold can actually get past one of the more embarrassing moments that we've seen a quarterback have over the last decade or so.
And it's not just a narrative that surrounds him. It's that word ghost. It's that we actually have him saying it that has followed him. And yeah, I think if he regresses to that in the Super Bowl, it will be confirmation for a lot of people that never believed in him. It will be confirmation for some teams that passed on from him, even though he won 14 games in Minnesota, did the same in Seattle, #1 seed, they're in the Super Bowl. It will give those people just a little bit of justification to say, yeah, we thought that in the biggest moments he would crumble.
You know what's weird is I don't know that I have the obvious comp to being in the final round of a sport and one team seemingly maybe hoping that the other team's most important, arguably best player controls the game in a way because you think that person is going to lose his own team or her own team in the game. That would be as if, and I know Pat was down on Ohtani during the playoffs a little bit, I don't believe the Blue Jays in the World Series were hoping Ohtani was up in big spots. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Right? I don't believe the Pacers last year, I hope Shea has the ball late in a close game. But I do think there's an argument, CC, that the Patriots hope Darnold is throwing a lot late in the game, which is crazy to think.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what you want to do for a team that's top 5 in rush attempts in the Seattle Seahawks. You want to force them to do something that they don't want to do, which is major in the drop-back passing game. And because of Sam Darnold's history, you're willing to take your chances on making him one-dimensional and trying to force him into mistakes rather than allowing the Seahawks to play to what they believe their team's strength is, which is running the football and then utilizing play action off of it. So, yeah, I think you're right. I think the Patriots want to make it a Sam Darnold game in terms of him dropping back 35 to 40 times, but that's easier said than done. And here's the other thing. Sam Darnold makes enough of the small plays in terms of the throws, the second reaction plays to convert for first downs, to keep them out of situations where they have to throw the football. And so I think that's the one thing that you have to focus on. The Seahawks have done an incredible job this season at being able to dictate the complexion of games. They typically don't have to play from behind very often. And so I think that's going to be key for the New England Patriots, trying to find a way not to allow Seattle to control the complexion of the game early so you can force it to be a drop-back game with Sam Darnold having to throw the ball in the fourth quarter.
I think this is such a fascinating narrative or storyline, however you want to look at it. The fact that Sam Darnold is, first of all, that he's in the Super Bowl, right? Sam Darnold is in the Super Bowl. Think about 3 years ago, if you made that statement.
Before Lamar, before Josh, before
Sam
Baker.
Darnold leading a team to the Super Bowl. That in itself is wild. But because we have these preconceived notions based on actual performance, we just assume that they're going to come back at some point, which, again, may not be fair. I say this all the time about basketball, and I've said it on the show, it's a random reference, but Kyle Lowry was the worst big game performer you ever saw in your life. Then Kawhi shows up, and he's a great big game performer, and you want him in big games. Like, things can change, right? So Sam Darnold has been, to CeCe's point, a very good big game performer in these big games this year. It just seemed like he was horrible in big games as recently as last year. But this year, these moments, the guy throws 3 touchdowns in the NFC Championship game. And yet we're still wondering, is it in New England's best interest to say, Sam, come over here and beat us? Because we don't think you can do it.
And if he's the competitor that we think he is, he's going to say, bet. I am going to do it. I'm going to beat you. I am confident in myself. Look what I did in the NFC Championship game. And all this stuff has a cumulative effect. I'm sure that he has, even though he never displays it publicly,